Robert Halfon, you've come under fire from one of your competitors, Murray Sackwell, about your voting record. And this has come up time and time again now. Can you see, how do you defend your voting record?
Well, first of all, Murray Sackwell, the Green Party candidate, I've got massive respect for. He's a man of conviction, he's a man of principle. I wish we were on the same side in some ways. We're both Chelsea supporters, that might not be so popular, but so I have a huge respect for him. I understand why he's doing what he's doing, but it's true I voted against certain things, but these were all Labour Party, predominantly Labour Party motions. So, for example, they say I voted against the bankers' bonus tax, but what I have voted for instead is a government motion on bankers every year, which, for example, which charges a bankers' levy of £3 billion a year. And in the recent budget, we voted for another £900,000 tax on bankers. I've also voted for LIBOR funds, which is for the mis-selling of interest rates. Those are fines on banks that go to be spent on our emergency services. I voted to cut taxes for 25 million low earners. I voted to take 3 million people out of income tax altogether. I voted for millions and millions of pounds being invested in apprenticeships, which mean 2 million more apprenticeships. I voted for millions of pounds being invested in jobs, which have led to 2 million more jobs being created. I'm very proud of my voting record. People can point out on these websites that I don't vote for Labour Party motions, but I voted for government motions, of course, because I'm a supporter of the government. I voted for an increase in the minimum wage, the highest increase since 2008. I voted for an increase in the apprentice wage of 20%, one of the biggest increases that apprentices have ever had. I voted for many things that I am proud of, from jobs, for more housing, for our spending on our NHS, for tax cuts for low earners. And let's look at the real voting record, not just a partial one.
So you're saying that sometimes there's a political game that goes on. It's almost that Labour will put a motion in and people may not understand. It's almost like we're laying a trap for you, you fall through that trap. So well, it's a very difficult game.
Every week in Parliament there is a special day called Opposition Day. And what that means is that the Labour Party can propose any motion they like. So they, for example, will say, we want a vote on the minimum wage. Now, the chances are I would have already voted for the minimum wage or for an increase. As I said, the biggest increase in the minimum wage since 2008, which I'm proud to have voted for. I won't be voting for the Labour Party motion. I'm a Conservative. Why should I vote for the Labour Party motion? I voted for the government, what I believe the government's programme should be. So what they are doing is basically putting out a list of votes and saying, I haven't voted for the minimum wage, when clearly I have. And then if you go into these websites, type in Robert Halfon minimum wage, you can see all the questions, all the Commons motions I've tabled and all the things that I've done. I've voted for every budget that has made minimum wage, that, as I say, cut taxes for 20 million lower earners, 4,000 lower earners in Harlow, taken 3 million people in this country out of income tax altogether. I'm very, very proud of my record. And as I say, Murray's a great man, he really is. And of all the politicians who are against me, he's the one I most respect, because he's a complete man of conviction and principle. I understand why he's doing this, but you need to look at the whole picture.
But people look where we're sitting right now. We're right, but there's a Marks and Spencer's behind it, which is closed. There's a Robert Dyer's just there, which is closing. People really fear, hospital could be on black alert again, maybe at the end of this year. Doesn't appear to be any police on the street. That's not a great record, is it? Well,
actually, I would say unemployment halved in Harlow. Apprenticeships up by 116%. BBC service said we had the highest business growth in the United Kingdom. Of course, some shops have shut. Shops will always shut, but a lot have been opening too. You just have to look at the regeneration of the water gardens, for example. A lot more needs to be done right at the Market Square, which is in serious trouble in my view. For years we've been promised some kind of regeneration scheme after another. Nothing has ever happened. We've got a new university. We've got a new university technical school. We've got fuel duty freezes. By the way, something else also I not just voted for, but got the government to change their minds on, to cut and freeze fuel duty. So, of course, not everything is perfect. Crime is down in Essex, even with the less police, with the police budget being less than it was because of the economy. Crime is down in Essex. A long way to go, but things are definitely looking up.
Is David Cameron on any of your literature?
He is. I can show you, in fact, where he is on my literature. He's on my Twitter poster. He's on the second page of this little magazine here. And I believe that he's on here somewhere, but I'll have to double check.
Do you think naturally the campaign is going well?
Yeah, I think that when people have to vote at the end of the day, when people have to vote at the end of the day, they're going to think which is the government is going to give us a ladder. So if we want a job, who is the party that's going to be best at creating jobs? Well, we've created 2 million jobs. We're going to offer every young person either apprenticeship or training. If you want to, if you're in housing and you want an affordable house, we're going to build 230,000 more affordable homes, starter homes. If you want to buy your home and you're on low earnings, whether you're in a council house, we'll increase the discounts and so on, so you can buy your council house, or if you're living in a housing association. Now they're going to change the rules so that people can buy their house there.
Why do you think, you may not want to comment on social media, because there's things like people call themselves blocked by Halfon or Facebook sites. I don't see, over on our sister site, I don't see a block by Stephen Metcalfe or a block by Jackie Daw-Price or indeed on other parties. What do you think, why do you think you've upset these people?
Well, I have 14,000 followers on Twitter, so clearly I can't be blocking everyone, and anyone who looks at my Twitter feed looks that whether or not I have dialogue with many people. But I have a number of rules. One is if it's abusive, and if I wake up in the morning and someone says you believe in child abuse or you're an effing XXXXX, which is part of Corso, then I usually block them. If it's part of a coordinated Labour Party campaign, because of course we track where all these things come from, then my Twitter feed is my social network. But at the end of the day, this election is not going to be won on social media. It's incredibly important. This election is going to be won on the streets. I'm on the streets all day and every day talking to real people who are not hiding behind computers. Some of the stuff is very funny that is going on social media, some is less funny. And people will do what they want to do, and I wish them well. I really do. But this is where the battle is going to be won, on the streets of Harlow and meeting people face to face.
And finally,